Ladies and gentlemen, in the background of tonight's show, things are getting hot and strange. The Vobes is getting himself ready for tonight's show. He's putting on his fake moustache, he's combing his lovely long locks, he's making sure his eyebrows are fully plucked and that all the makeup is covering over the terrible cracks in his crony-old skin. He has his skin-tight lizard shoes on and his snake-skin trousers. As you imagine, he is looking absolutely dapper and fine. And very soon, ladies and gentlemen, very, very soon, he will be presenting himself to you, the gentle listener, to you, the gentle viewer, to you, the anxious competitor who will be taking part in the show by tapping, I tell you, tapping on your keypad until you can tap no more, until your fingers have been worn to the very bone. For the Vobie One-Eyed Kenobi will be there for your entertainment. He's looking at the time, and the clock looks like it should be about time to go, so let's get the countdown going! Woohoo! Well, it's total madness, ladies and gentlemen. Total madness. Welcome to the Vobe Show. Now, don't adjust your horizontal hold. It's perfectly all right. It's the vertical hold that's all gone a little bit strange. Yes. I noticed earlier today that somebody's taken out one of them yellow marker pens and they've been drawing lines all over the place. So if you happen, by any strange quirk of fate, to come across somebody who has had yellow lines drawn all over them, on their trousers maybe, perhaps on their jumpers, on their head, on their hands, on all sorts of parts of their anatomy, some small, some wiggly, some woggly, some pretty ugly, or indeed on their jackets, you will be the first to know about it. But do let me know. You're watching the Vobe Show on the 15th of January 2020. 2020! That is the show today. Alas to say that the lovely Julia is not feeling 100%, so I've told her to go home, put a thermometer in her gob, and sit there and pat the baby, which is exactly what she's doing. But she would appreciate if everybody was to go, "Oh, poor little Julia," because we anxiously await her on the Friday show. Let's hope that's going to happen. Nigel Sadler happens to be out there in the cuckoo land, as long as Andrew Norris, he says, "Yes, it's time, get on with it, man, get on with it. We're not hanging about here, you know." Awesome for Bricks says, Awesome for Bricks, that's a new name. Linda Kane, hello to Linda. Barbara Charles, we're in Sussex. Testing, 1574. Laura Riddle, hello Laura Riddle. Paul Shergold. Shergold sounds like a racehorse, doesn't it? That should be a racehorse, Paul. And there goes Shergold, and he's coming up to the end thing, and he's going to be over the third. It's followed by Red Rum and Shergold coming up, and it's anybody's guess. He's followed by who knows what's followed by, yes, it could be him. He's followed by the last horse on the bottom of the thing, and then there they are, and then they go. Yes, I've got chocolate sponge, he says, and custard. Oh, lovely. Chocolate sponge and custard whilst watching this rubbish. I feel it's going to be a great show. I do hope so. I do hope it's going to be a great show. Nigel Sadler says he's on his own. What's going on? He's on his own. Ed Loud says, yes, the count. 3 bats. Count 3 bats? What are you talking about? Andy Stacey says, good evening to you. Dave Ford says, lovely to see Miss January in the background. Yes, there we are. Bing, bing, bing. One of those. She's in the background. Kevin's ramble says, "Oh, poor little Julia, poor little Julia. It's very sad. It is. Oh, get well, Julia." They say. Of course, if I wasn't very well, I know what would happen. They'd be sending me R.I.P. notices. Dear Vobes, rest in peace. May you never darken our door ever again. Me and my friends will have a nice quiet evening in at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday evening instead of having to put up with your lousy humour. But there we are. Linda Kane says, hope you feel better. D for Brick says, Richard does £20,000 January jackpot. Is that right? Andy Freeson says, hello, Richard. Hope that Julia gets on. Kevin's Rambles is saying, hello, Daniel. Tim Williams says, hello, Richard. Andrew Norris says, sorry that TJL is not very well. Rami Boo is out there. Rami says, you started early. I was watching yesterday's show and I missed most of it. Didn't get an alert for this one. I'm so sorry. Now, can you just tell me, am I looking overexposed in tonight's show? A little bit over. The monitor that I have here, I've got two monitors. One shows me very overexposed on my I can't finish the sentence. On the machine over there, which you cannot see. Actually, you can see because we have special technology. There it is. On that one, which is encoding the show a few seconds after. I know it's encoding. Look, this is how the delay works, you see. Look, I haven't even picked up the webcam yet. See, look, here am I, chatting to you, having a chin chat. Some 40 seconds behind the time. Any minute now. Look, I'm going to point to it. Go on, point to it. Go on, see if you can remember what you did There he goes. Point, picks up webcam. And now we're going to have one of those things where you see down the hole forever. But you're not, because I've taken the camera away. Yes, like a naughty boy. Rami Boo says, oh, yes, I just said that. Kevin's Ramble says, okay. Linda Kane says, wonder if we'll get more viewers tonight. That'd be interesting. I'm sure they won't all migrate. Ed Loud says, ha, a few people said rest in peace on Twitter, and then they found out my granddad was dying. He found it really funny. Good old granddad, that's what I say. Well done. Steve Pilfall says, I was sitting at work around 5 a.m. this morning as the first trains were leaving, and I noticed on CCTV they had switched the moving stairs on at London Bridge. I thought things are really escalating now. Yes, especially if people were on it, having a punch-up. Maybe the people were sleeping on them from the night before, and suddenly, up they go, up there. They get to the end bit, and then they get trapped and dragged under. Ooh, I bet that's fun. Ed Loud says, if you're ever overexposed, it's only slightly, if at all. I mean, blimey, you've got your jacket on. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know whether you've noticed, I do have a slightly louder and larger than life jacket. It's actually quite big. When I used to wear these sort of things, I must have been a bigger person. I'm shrinking. I am like the incredible shrinking man, ladies and gentlemen. The incredible shrinking man who's slowly but surely getting smaller and smaller. And I don't know how it happens, but Hey, wait, no, don't shrink me completely, you fatheads. Oh, blimey. You have to fight, don't you, to hang on to your life here. What's that, my stomach lining? No, it's a cushion. It's a cushion. Oh dear. Anyway, this is supposed to be entertainment, not complete and utter madlam. This is not bedlam, although you do have a cushion in bedlam, don't you, when you go to Nighty Nightlam. Rami Boo says, little Brighton washed out, but not too bad. Ah, yes, that's interesting, is it? Because I can adjust this, you know. Well, I have the technology here. I can go... Is that better? Does that make a big difference? It looks better there. I don't know if it's too dark where you are. Let me know. What do we got here? D for Bricks is back from holiday. Andrew Norris is overexposed. No, overdressed. Overdressed? I couldn't say. The point is, I'm going through my jackets. I thought I would wear, before I throw them in the bin and go, I've had enough of you, go. I thought one last time. You may remember last week I was wearing a nice tank top. Not a tank top, what do you call it, thing that you have under a jacket? A waistcoat, there we are, thanks very much, and a nice tie, which looked very nice. Had a lot of compliments there. Oh, all the women from Worthing were banging on my door going, oh, Mr. Vobes. Yeah, I said, yes. They said, any chance you could not do your show and break our screens? Mr. Vobes, can you please leave town? We don't want people like you in this town. I thought, oh, charming. Robert Baxter's here. Hello, Robert. Lovely to see you. Linda Kane says, common knowledge that you shrink when you're old. When you say it's common knowledge, luckily I'm not a commoner, so I don't know that sort of stuff. Ed Loud says, Richard, you've lost weight during the last time I've been binge watching. Oh, have you been measuring me? I can imagine, Ed, you're sitting there with your laptop or your screen or whatever, and you've got a little what do you call that thing with measuring things? Tape measure. A ruler, and you're going, just see, 2017, how wide was he there? Oh, yeah, put that up against the screen. Oh, he was 3 inches. And now, I imagine 2020, January 2020, after Christmas, just how wide is he? Oh, dear, he's gone to 2 inches and 3/8. Dear, oh dear, poor old Vobes. By the end of the year, he'll be 1.5 inches, and then nobody will be interested. I've only got 1.5 inches, don't you know? Mark Dolly McLeod is out there. Waistcoat. No, Dad. No, Dad. Ah, hi, Tanya, says the lovely Kevin, who is talking to Tanya Allison, who says, good evening, everybody. Good evening to you, Tanya. Dave Ford says, many trees down in Midhurst Way. Actually, I was in Midhurst Way today, and we didn't see that many trees down. So that was lucky. Where in Sussex says, the light sign on your left shoulder is too bright, needs a neutral density gel. Yes, you're talking about this one here. That is actually, hasn't got one yet. In fact, these are not even neutral densities. I need to get... Can somebody find me a very thick neutral density gel? Because I found one company, but I wanted some tiny little samples just to hold up, because they come in different degrees. And they refused to send me some samples. I wanted some samples. So if anyone can supply me with neutral density filters, that sheets of acetate, neutral density, about that sort of size, you can measure that yourself. Ask Ed Loud. He's very good at measurements, apparently. He's got a little ruler, don't you know? So that's very good. Mike Dixon, seeing Mike Dixon of Dock Green tomorrow, funnily enough. We're going on, evening all, we're going on the lichin hunt, which should be very funny. I'm looking forward to seeing him salute me as I walk up to the church where we're going to meet. And so he says, evening all. Do you know there's been a lot of crime round these parts in this year? But don't worry, we've got the team from Softly and Z-Cars to help us solve all of it. Take it easy out there. Wasn't that? Do you remember Dixon of Dock Green? It was lovely. Anyway, Mike Dixon says, almost every time I see you on the Vobes show, you're wearing something different. Your wardrobe must be enormous. I have a rack, actually. I got it from a different country. One that's not currently bombing us at the moment. Stephen Agger says, hi, Richard. How are you? I'm all right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for asking. I'm all right. Been busy. Been very, very busy. I have that sort of notion that I could just fall asleep at... Sorry, where am I? At any moment. Oh, I just moved the desk then. The whole thing moved. Did you feel that the whole show moving towards you rather rapidly? It went, ooh, which is a bit of a shame. Kevin says, yes, there were a few, Dave. There was not. Don't listen to Kevin. I was there with him. Ed Loud says 2 inches and 3/8. Yes, there we go. Could have been worse. Could have been 8/3. Marriott Genealogy says you're taller in the morning than you are at night. I tell you, I'm vertical in the morning, and at night I'm not. Now, on today's show, the lovely Julia isn't here, unfortunately, because she's been taken poorly, so we wish her well. But we are going to... I want to get some information from you guys. I want to talk about coincidence or coincidence, depending on how you talk about it. What's the biggest coincidence or coincidence that you've ever come across? Have you I remember I used to back in the day before the VHS. Do you remember Blockbusters? They used to rent out films and that sort of thing. And in the early days, they used to have Betamax and VHS. Well, before that, I used to work for a company that delivered VHS films from the back of his car. And it was most peculiar. I was only, what was I? I was about 18 or something. And I drove around. We had a list of places to go. And they would ring up and they'd say, I'd like a film for tonight. I said, OK, a film. Where are you? 24 Acacia Avenue, in case you're going to come round. I said, yeah, we'll be round. We'll be round about 7:30. So off we went round there, open up the boot of the car. The people had to come out of their house and with a torch look into the boot of the car. Now, when was the film The Mirror Cracked? When did that film come out? Because whenever that film came out, when it came out on VHS, it was a new release. And I remember it was one of the many films. The other one that we had was The Hills Have Eyes. These were very popular. I don't know what year that any of that nonsense came out. Anyway, the point of the story was they would come in and they would go, "Oh, yes, I'll have that one. The Hills Have Eyes, please. I've looked at the mirror cracked." And they would have it for like 3 nights, and then I'd have to go back and pick it up. It was a strange... Before you could go to a shop, these were enterprising lads who thought we would deliver them. And then, of course, you know, shops came out and they did all that kind of malarkey. So that was quite interesting. And so, anyway, I remember the sort of things that I would get, the coincidence would be... Well, it wouldn't be a coincidence, really, but for the purposes of this illustration, I'm going to call it a coincidence. I would get back to the base, which was actually one of the guys' houses, ready for the next call, and you'd wait, and then the phone would ring, and the next call, as soon as you got in, they would say, "Oh, Mrs. Jones in Billingshurst would like a film." I used to go all round Sussex delivering these sodding films. It was quite bizarre. So off I went, down to Mrs. Jones, and then, you know, there would be that. And then you would drive back and wait and try and, you know, because in those days I didn't think they had mobile phones. So there was no way of... I suppose I could have... I don't even think... Did I ever use phone boxes? I may have used a phone box to go, "Is there any more in Billingshurst?" 18-year-old Vobes. "Any more in No, come back. I think there's one in Crawley." So anyway, the point was I would come back to base, and then I would think, I bet Mr. Robinson will have a film. We haven't heard from him for a long time. I bet Mr. Robinson. So I'd come back into the door and we go, oh, I could do with a cup of tea. "No time for a cup of tea. Mr. Robinson wants a film." And I would think, there's a coincidence. So I'm sure you can do better than that. What coincidences have occurred to you in recent times, or happened to you even? 77, if that helps. 77. Mike Stevens says 79. I'm not quite sure what that is. Dean Cooper says hello again. Hello again, Dean Cooper. "I'll have a pea, please, Bob." My chocolate pudding was really nice. Thanks, Paul Shergold. The chocolate pudding was coming in there at 9, and it was very nice. Oh, it came out at regular 10. It's been in there for 35 minutes. He's put the custard on. There goes the custard, and there's the first spoonful goes into his mouth, and always chopping it up. He likes the custard. You can see the smile on his face, and look at him. He's looking so happy, and he's rubbing his tummy. There's another 13 pounds on his waistline, but don't let that worry you. He'll soon run it off when he goes to the post office and post a letter. That's marvellous. Well, I'm very pleased, Paul, that it was delightful. Right, here we go. Laura Riddle says, "I was born in 79. LOL, he's old." What are you talking about, 79? I've obviously missed a thing here. Linda Kane says, "I volunteer at the library on Monday afternoons." I'm going to have to go in and hassle her, I think. "Another group work in the morning. I went on the Rhine cruise." Where's the coincidence in that then, Linda? Oh, and when I got on the boat on one of the morning, one of the volunteers was there, neither of us knowing that the other was having the same holiday. What's the odds? All the boats of all the world, on all the rivers, that you should happen to come into mine. Play it again, Sam. That's a little quote there from Linda Kane. Thank you, Linda. Yeah, how interesting is that? It's funny, isn't it? You go. It's funny how you can do that. You can go on holiday. You find a resort on the other side of the world, and you think, "Thank God, I've got away from all my bloody neighbours." And you sit down, and there's Mrs. Kimber having a cup of tea, and you go, "Oh no, Mrs." And she goes, "Oh, darling! Oh, look at you coming over here all the way to Timbuktu. Do you know, I very nearly didn't go to Timbuktu." Really, is that right? "Oh, I was thinking of going somewhere else." "Where was that?" "I was going on a Monty Python holiday." "You're a very naughty boy." "You're a very silly woman." How interesting is that? What, when you was doing the VHS, says Laura Riddle, apropos of nothing. Oh, when I was doing the VHS, I was born in 79. Oh, wait a minute, is that 77? 79, is that the year the film came out? That was when I was doing the VHSs. Blimey. So there we are. I must have been, hang on a minute, I was born in 19... So take 3 away from 9, 76. No, I'm 16. I was 16. Well, I couldn't, I was driving. It must have been 17. I must have been 17. Sorry about that. Just needed to slurp up my tea. So that's interesting. Have you got any more coincidences? Because you haven't got any more coincidences. The other thing I wanted to find out from you... Oh, hang on. I need another slurp. I need another slap. Actually, I need to clear my throat. So whilst I clear my throat, let's find out what Andrew Norris has been up to.
Hello everybody, another report from Zagreb, out on a walk with Zora. So we are walking along the river Sava, very misty, trees are very frozen, and I'm here completely alone, no one else walking, and I live just over there. I say I live there, but that's only in winter. Usually in the summer I'm in the village where it's much more conducive. So we're having our morning walk. I'm listening to Richard's broadcast from yesterday, The Bald Explorer, and the readings of the stories of the Vicar of Raspa. Very entertaining. Thanks, Richard. I'm enjoying it. Anyway, I will listen further and we will continue our walk.
He looks an intelligent bloke, doesn't he? He looks very intelligent. I like that. Thank you, Andrew. Look very cold out there. I can't wait for us to have some weather like that. It'd be lovely. Lovely to get out there with all that frost on the trees and all around. Looks delightful. Absolutely. Julia Hartley says, when I was born, you were 18, Richard. How mean am I? How mean am I? Yes, if you'd been born a bit earlier, then things could have been very different. You would have been older. Yes. So Tanya Allison says, you were born in 63. So was I. What a coincidence. There we are. There's a I bet there's nobody else out there in the whole wide world who was born in the same year as me. And do you know, looking at Andrew Norris there, walking through all that snow and stuff, well, frost, 1963 apparently was one of the worst winters that we've ever had. Yeah, that's global warming for you. Dave Ford says, you're never alone when you're never alone with a rubber duck. Who said that? That's a famous quote from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but who said it? That would be interesting. You're never alone when you've got a dog. That's very true. You're never alone when you've got a dog. The other thing I was interested in, ladies and gentlemen, is what 3 things... I was listening to a programme on BBC Radio 4 in the car as I was driving back from Kevin Hall's today. I was out seeing Kevin, by the way. And I just throw that out you there because I don't want you to be starstruck. There was I seeing the amazing, the legendary, the one and only Kevin Hall. Yes, I expect you all itching for me to give you something from him, a gem that he might have said, or perhaps a piece of his clothing, or even, a snippet of his hair. It's true, I collected them all. Anyway, the point was I was listening to All in the Mind, which is a programme on BBC Radio 4. It's all about, mental services and things like that. Nothing to do with 5G, as it happens. That's a signal. That is the that's the official 5G insignia, in case you ever need to know that. So, I was listening to All in the Mind, and they were talking about the merits of people having bucket lists. These are the lists that you're supposed to do of things before you accidentally knock the bucket over and consequently slip up, bang your head, and woo, 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 fly up to the gods. Well, they were saying that, what sort of things would you put on your bucket list? And I thought, bucket list. So what 3 things, ladies and gentlemen, if you had to do a bucket list... actually, they were advising that you don't do it because it's not good for your mental health. But if you had to do a bucket list, what 3 things on the bucket list would you do? And please don't say bungee jumping, because everybody puts bungee jumping on there. I mean, I've jumped over some bungees. I've often done it. I've laid them down on the ground. I've jumped over them. I've jumped backwards over them. I've jumped the length of the bungees. I've even crawled under a bungee, but really and truly get nothing from it. But, maybe you get more out of it than I do. Ed Loud says, lovely Julia, get well. Dave Ford says what I've read earlier. Andrew Norris says, absolutely. Linda Kane says, does 13 years count? Before count? 13 years before count? I'm not quite sure. Jeff Kellison says, May 23, 1963, Chico, California. Is that your birthday, Jeff? May the 23rd, 1963. You're the same age as me. You're the same age as me, if that's your birthday. Hang on, I'm going to have in a slap. Tanya Allison, wait a minute, says you were born in 63. I thought I've read that already. So what 3 things would you put in your bucket list, ladies and gentlemen? I've got to think about what I would put in my bucket list. One thing I've thought about putting in my bucket list was water, because... You could put water in a bucket, couldn't you? Obviously, you need water, but there's a hole in my bucket, dear Liza. Dear Liza, a hole in my bucket, dear Liza, a hole. Linda Kane is now saying 1963. Were you born, Linda Kane? Were you born in 1963? You weren't born in 1963, were you, Linda Kane? That would be a coincidence. Who here is born in 1963? That would be a coincidence if there was more than half of the people watching, or if everybody was watching the show had been born in 1963, then that would be a coincidence. That would be it. Mandy of Mary Mac says, zip line, attend a ball in Vienna, fall in love again. These are on the a zip line. A zip line is one. Yeah, a comma between the items would have been helpful there, Mandy. So a comma, a zip line, attend a ball in Vienna, and fall in love again. Oh, never fall in love again. Yes, who would want to fall in love again? That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Who would like to fall in love again? Andy Stacey says, having a Worthing gin with you. Oh, that would put that on the bucket list. Yes, Andy Stacey, a Worthing gin, that can be arranged, I'm sure. Barbara Charles, 1. Marry a rich man, good idea. Grow 4 inches. Where is exactly you would want these 4 inches? And win an Olympic medal, says it. Are you an athletic sort of person? Barbara Charles, that would be interesting. Linda says no, born in 1950. Ah, right, okay, and that's not quite so. Kevin was born in 1953, so it makes him not quite the oldest man in the box. Dean Cooper says, I have a big 50th birthday this year. Halfway there, I would like to go skydive solo as my bucket list. When you say skydive solo, do you mean skydive without a parachute? Can I film that? That would be an interesting one. Poor Shergold says, I only have one thing on my bucket list. What's that, a handle? Oh, no. I want to push the button on the I thought you were going to say, I want to push the button. You know, on my bucket list, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to push the button. That's the end of the world. I don't know what W.C. Fields was doing there. On my bucket list, going to the chop house. So let me go back to that. I want to push the button on a combine harvester that makes the pipe unfold and the grain come out into the tractor's trailer. Weird, I know. Well, if there's any farmers watching this who has a combine harvester with a button that makes the pipe unfold and the grain come into the tractor trailer, let us know. Whereas 4, I was born in 1963. Oh, YS4 was born in 1963. There we go. Look, there's a coincidence. Ed Loud, 3 things. Go to Africa because I've been to every other continent and I want to finish the list. Oh, that's very good. 2nd, finish all my books. What, writing them or reading them? 3rd, film a vid with our Vobes. Well, 2 of those must be possible. You must be able to finish all your books. Just stop buying any new ones and you better read them all. Which continent did you think was the best, Ed? That's what I want to know. Andy Friesen, 1972. Jeff Kellison says yes. So Jeff and I have the same birth date. Not birth date, but same year. Linda Kane says 13 years before. Oh, that's what your comment was. 13 years before 1963 is 1950. Yeah, I got it. I got it in the end, ladies and gentlemen. I got it in the end. Robert Baxter has retracted his message. It was something, some sweetheart message to me, I'm sure. Mandy of Merrimack says, you sound like my typing teacher. Oh, does he? How does a typing teacher talk? Quirky keyboards, ladies and gentlemen. So, QWERTYUIOPASD. Does anyone suffer from ASD? Or have you got FGH disease? There's GKL, and GKL, isn't that something like Gardener's Question Time? And ZXCVBNNM. Not that I'm reading it, but of course I was. Dean Cooper, me too. Sounds like my typing teacher, says Ramy Boo. Dave Ford says, here's his bucket list. He says, visit Lambeau Field. I don't know where is Lambeau Field? Is that somewhere? Oh, hang on, he's got it there. Home of the Green Bay Packers 2. I thought that might have been out there in the New Forest somewhere. Meet Olivia Newton-John 3. What, you can't meet her when she was 3. That would be silly. Olivia Newton-John. I bet she's quite old now. She might be a bit old. Try to do 1 and 2 without Mrs. Ford finding out. Well, there you go. You do that. Jeff Kellison says, see Worthing Pier with Vobes. I'm sure that can be arranged. See the Red Lion Hotel on Cromer. Oh, yeah, I must go to Cromer. I've been to Cromer before. Once to Cromer up there in North Norfolk. Very nice. Sue Blount says, my birthday on Sunday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sue. Happy birthday to you. There we are, your own Don't say I don't sing you songs, because I just have. Ed Loud says, the thing I wonder about skydiving is, how do they get a diving board that high up? Well, they have them in aeroplanes. Obviously, they have them in the diving board, but the ladder into the aeroplane when it's flying, that's another story. I wonder how many somersaults you could do, and could you count them before you lost consciousness? That would be interesting. Ed, so that's that. Marriott Genealogy says, return to UK Sussex, visit the villages associated with my ancestors, yes, which give us a name of a village that's associated with your ancestor, and have I been to any of them, and maybe I can go there for you. Visit Canada and Alaska, retire to a cruise ship. Oh my God, a floating tomb. I cannot imagine anything more exciting than that. Linda Kane says, Dave Ford, haha. Dean Cooper says, solo being 1, jump alone. Solo being, what is a solo being? I happen to be a solo being. I jump alone without a companion. Oh, a solo jump being jumping alone. Oh, I've got you. And yes, you're welcome to film it. No, I was interested in filming it without the parachute. Only because there might be some money in that, you know. I'd be concentrating on the ground, really, not so much the falling. Ed Loud says, Europe. Oh, Europe was the best, was it? Especially good old Blighty, best by miles. Yes, there we go. What a man after my own heart. But you can't have it. I need it. Mr. Great Plum. Hello to you, Matthew. He says, are we doing bucket lists? I've just turned up. My bucket list, travel by train. Well, you just need to get rid of your car. Oh, wait a minute. Over the Rockies. Travel by train over the Rockies. Have they got railroad through the Rockies? If so, how terrible is that? The railway tracks go ruining a lovely bit of landscape. 2, learn a new musical instrument. What kind of musical instrument? I mean, there's instruments. I mean, I would like to learn the triangle. That would be the instrument I would love to learn. And 3, fly a plane. Do you mean fly a plane from the ground, like a drone? Or do you mean actually get a long haulage license so that you can fly to New Zealand? What are you talking about? Patrick Rose, good evening to you. Good evening to you, Patrick Rose. What is your 3 items on your bucket list, please? The Salty Train Spotter and Bell Ringer has a bucket list, I'm sure. He wants more salt on trains, and he wants to ring more bells. If you can. Ring my bell, ring my bell, ring my bell. Boing. What else has he got? I don't actually ring. Oh, he says, hello, fellow bell ringers that don't actually ring bells. I would like to do the handbells, actually. I could do them like juggling. I'd like to juggle handbells. That would be quite fun. Sue Blout says, thanks, Richard, for the singy song. We stayed in Cromer 1 East. Mr. Plum, Mr. Great Plum's been everywhere, done everything. So you can't. You give me the most obscure place on this earth. The most obscure place. Give me the one place that you've been to that you reckon nobody else has been to. There's a challenge, and we'll see if Mr. Matthew Holdsworth has actually been, because he's done it usually with scouts or. With Cubs or with his parents or with some society or something like that. He has done it. There, I rack my brains. I think, where the hell can I go in England that Mr. Holdsworth has not been? Because if he's not been there, he's certainly planned it. I believe that actually Matthew Holdsworth, he actually was there drawing up the plans for Stonehenge. I'm absolutely convinced he was going, yeah, we'll have a circle of H's all round here, little tabletops. And then we'll have a horseshoe of blue stones from somewhere in Wales. We'll have them. I reckon that Mr. Great Plum, you did Stonehenge. How about that? I think that you probably got inspired by Woodhenge. Probably, thought, oh look what they're doing. I can do better than that. We're not going to use wood. That'll rot. We're going to use it in stone. Far better, because also, if you put your planning application form in, it does all of these special bylaws, and it's all good. Jeff Killison says, Matt, drone 2 on your list. There we go. Salty Train Spotter, my bucket list, ring every bell in the UK. I did try ringing every bell in Worthing. I ran down the road, I pressed a button, I ran out, I went down the road, pressed somebody else's button, and all these people, they came to their door and they were throwing their fists at me going, oi, you scabby little boy! So just be careful when you do that. Linda Kane says, civilised. I understand Matthew. Good. I don't understand. I understand nothing. I haven't been to... I can't pronounce that. Ouija, what? Ooga Wooga. I don't know where that is. Sally Transporter says, is that in China? Walton-on-Thames. Have you been to Walton-on-Thames? I bet he's been to Walton-on-Thames. Capital of... But no, I mean in the UK. In the UK, think of a place in the UK that he hasn't been to, because it's unfair, because there's plenty of places in the whole world that I'm sure Matthew's not been to. Robert Baxter says Kyle Scoob, but it's in Scotland, not England. Well, I bet he's probably been there. Probably, of course, he's been there. Paul Sherwood, sorry, not Sherwood, Shergold, in fact, says my parents' summer house. I bet he's never been there. I bet he's been and had a cup of tea with your parents' summer house when they were planning the extension. Probably has. Mary at Genealogy says also Houghton, West Grinstead and more. Oh, right, Houghton. When you say Houghton, do you mean up from just down from Arundel? That Houghton, up from Amberley? Is that the Houghton you mean? There's not much at Houghton. There's not very much going on there. Where were in the pub? What was the name of the pub at Houghton? Is that the Houghton Arms? No, what's the name of the pub? Matthew knows. Matthew's been there. He's probably helped plan the wall for it. West Grinstead. Yes, West Grinstead. I've been to West Grinstead. Mr. Grapeson, I have a pal in Walton. There you go. If he's not personally been there, he's very well connected. So that's interesting. She had a great 21st birthday party. Did you go to the party? Rami Boo says, Lincoln, Washington. My grandparents were the last people to live in Lincoln in Washington before it became a ghost town. Your grandparents were the last people to live... Maybe they're still living there. Maybe that's why it's a ghost town. Maybe they're still living there and it is actually a ghost town. Maybe. Mr. Great Plum says, I've only been to Scotland once this side round, the other side that way round, and then all the middle bit on the way home. So he's covered all of Scotland. That's good. Salty Train Spotter and Bell Ringer says, has Matthew been to Llanfair GP? Is that the guinea pig? Is that the guinea pig sanctuary? The Llanfair PG? Oh, wait a minute. No, guinea pig would be the other way round. What is pig? Pig? I don't know. What does PG stand for? Hang on. The longest... Oh, Llangolan... That one. That's what you mean, isn't it? Yeah, he's been there. Jeff Killison says, Twasn't British Columbia, the most obscure place I've been to, went to the movies and they stood and said, God save the Queen, and we didn't know the words. Who knows the... Mr. Great Plum knows the words, God save the Queen, of course. But does anybody else know? God save our gracious Queen. Anyone can't tell me what the next bit is without looking at Google. Ed Loud says, my brother has come to visit after his day at work. Tell him he's a plonker from me. Oh, what's his name? Ed Loud, your brother? You're a plonker. Why are you visiting him after work? You want to visit him whilst you're working. Get paid to visit Ed Loud, your brother. What's your brother called? Is he called Ed Quiet? Which would be quite handy. No, Salty, I want to go there. Maybe Richard should go there. Well, that to the longest... Yes, that would be... We must... Where is it? What part of Wales is it? Is it near North Wales? Can Kevin and I go? I'd like to see Kevin try and get that. That would be quite funny. Talking of Kevin, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, talking of Kevin, it would be nice to see a bit of Kevin, wouldn't it? I've nipped out to a lovely village in Sussex to meet up with Kevin Hall.
Where is he?
I don't know where he is.
You tell me.
Kevin? Kevin, if you see him, he's a nice bloke. Bit of an old duffer. But he's... Ah, Kevin.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Richard.
We're in a video.
Are we?
Yeah, we've been out filming a video in a little village called Milan that's not in Italy.
When did we do that?
Oh, earlier today.
Did we?
Yeah, a few minutes ago.
Was I there?
Yeah, sorry about that new diagnosis for that terrible mental illness that you've got, I've heard you've had. But anyway, we did do that, Kevin.
Okay.
And you told me some very interesting facts
Oh, good.
about your nurse. But we also... Shh. Nobody knows.
No.
Anyway, that's coming out very soon on the Bald Explorer. But as this is the Vobes show...
36, 24, 36.
She's very lovely. You got a number again? I didn't put it in my phone properly. But anyway, check it out, and it's going to be a hoot. Meanwhile, we're off now to, well, a nursing home, aren't we?
Yes.
Got to get you home.
I didn't know I was out.
No. Ha! Well, how about that, ladies and gentlemen? How about that? Poor old duffer. Anyway, we got him back to the old age people's home, and he's all right now. I just discovered, so that's coming up. By the way, that was shot on the GoPro 8, and it's a bit overexposed. I was very disappointed with some of the shots on the GoPro 8. I did 2 films today, one on the 7 and one on the 8. And I remember when I got the 7, it took me ages to sort of get used to it. I don't know what I've done, but the 7 is pretty good. The 8, at first though, I didn't like the 7 over the 5. I thought the 5 was better, but you had to have a gimbal with the 5 because there was no stabilisation. But it's going to take me a while to sort of get to the settings that I actually prefer and enjoy. But that was overexposed in a little bit of sunlight. That was terrible. But anyway, so it's on Anglesey, says Mr. Great Plum. That's interesting. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to Anglesey in end of March, April. Now, here's a question. So we will go to the railway station. Kevin, make a note of it, please. Here's a pen. Make a note of it before you forget. We'll go to the station with the longest thing, and we'll try and we will have a video, 10 minutes of us just trying to pronounce it. That will be the video. It might be longer than, it might be a 25-minute video of us going, and then to finish it, we will come up with a song, like Papawick Pumping Station, pump, 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 pump. We'll come up with a relevant song. So we'll go there when we go to Anglesey. Now, here's a question for you. Can you tell me, in the UK, when is Easter? Can somebody do a bit of that? Linda Kane will do this. Linda Kane's marvellous. Linda Kane. When is Easter? Want to know when Easter is, because we are either going to go before Easter or after Easter. And when is the school holidays? So if somebody could do that, that would be lovely. I noticed the Ditchling V film had some exposure issues. Yes, that the Ditchling V film... Hang on a minute. The Ditchling V film... was that on the... yes, that was on the GoPro 8. Was that on the GoPro 8? I can't remember. Was it? Is that the one the Ditchling... Hang on a minute. When did we do... Was that on the Go... No! The Ditchling... the Ditchling film, I think, was on the GoPro 7. I'll have to double check on that. Did I have a micro... If I had a microphone in my hand, it was on the 7. I have not done a film as yet using the 8 and a separate sound. I think I've only done 2 films with the GoPro 8. One was the one where Julia and I went round St Mary's de Hora of the Harbour in Shoreham. We did a little... Oh, wait a minute. We did a test, but I played that in here. I didn't play that anywhere else. Or did I? Maybe I played it in the Sunday chat. I don't know what I'm talking about. Kevin Hall, 36, 24, 36 has just tucked me up into bed. Ah, bless him. Get your pen out and do the scribbling. Which is good. I noticed, yes, I read that. Twists to the story, Kevin's nurse is called Roy. Yes, he's got moobs. Nice, big, chunky moobs. Ricky, thank you for that. Ed Loud says, I enjoyed seeing Richard and Kevin overexposed. Now you won't hear me say that again in a hurry. I don't know. We'll ask your brother. He might know more about it. Dean Cooper says, nice dimensions. It's very nice. Mustache says, nice to see you, Mr. Great Plum. He's off. Middle of April, Richard. Oh, middle of April. Is that when Easter is? So I reckon we'll either go end of March, beginning of April, just before the summer, before the. Sally says, 12th of April. When does the spring term? When do the kids? What are the 2 weeks the kids are off? Because I want to avoid that like the plague. Kevin Hall says 12th of April, I think, is Easter. Andy Friesen says 10th to 13th of April, taking in Good Friday, presumably. Easter Sunday is the 12th. Oh, there we go. No idea about the holidays. The sky shots looked a bit dark. Thanks. Who said that? Somebody said that. I can't see who it was. Oh, we're in Sussex. The sky shots looked a bit dark. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Well, it was a grey day. It was a grey day, actually. In fact, the GoPro works, most of the GoPros work so much better in even light, of course, and not too, when the light is too bright, it seems to struggle. But if it's just pointing at you, it gives nice grey tones, if you see what I mean. Sally Staintrotter says, Richard, I have rang bells at St. Mary's de Hora. Have you? That's very good of you. You get about, don't you? Ernie Samat says, or Summit, or you did tell us how you pronounce your name, but of course, like a true trooper, I've forgotten. He says, Tallio, Richard, super jacket, I must say. Yes, I'm wearing some of my old clothes, ladies and gentlemen, before I hand them over to a charity shop, and then they incinerate them, because nobody would want to wear this. The salty Sally says probably from the 6th to the 22nd. Yes, so I reckon end of March we'll go. We don't want there to be horrible weather. Probably end of March, first couple of what we don't want to do is be away on the 1st of April. Not with Kevin. Yeah, that will be a calamity. If I'm away on the 1st of April, you can imagine the chaos that will ensue. So I will book a room, or 2 rooms, actually, don't get any ideas. I will book a B&B from about the 27th to the 3rd of April. But we won't be around on the 1st. We'll both do something independent on that day. Jeff Kellerson says, you never said how your parking ticket came out. Or is that the HMPS jacket? The parking ticket. Which parking ticket? The parking ticket. The parking. I've got to go to the council in March. Oh, blimey! Actually, that's true. I can't tell you at the moment. I have to look at my diary. But I have a county court. Not a county. It's not a judgment because it has. I have a small claims court. I'm being taken to the small claims court because I parked my car for about 2 to 3 minutes while I went upstairs to. I went to an office. I parked my car. It said, no parking, and you've got to have a ticket, and there was vouchers you could put on. And I arrived at a client, and I parked my car, and I knew I wasn't supposed to park there. So I went into the office and told the people, I said, I'm here, but my car is outside. They said, best thing to do, bring it into the premises. You won't get a ticket. I said, great. Okay. He said, I'll just go and get the key. I said, I'll go downstairs and get it ready. Turn the car around so I can be by the gate. Went downstairs, went to the gate. Parking ticket. I've only been in there for 3 minutes. Got in there, knocked on the door, waited for the door to open to see the secretary at the desk. I'm here to see Ray. Oh, hang on a minute. Ray's on the phone. Okay. Oh, here he is. Hello, Ray. Yeah, I'm here. The car's down there. By the time I'll get you come in. I'll get the key and open the gate, and then you can park. Then you'll be fine. Go downstairs. There's the parking ticket. I pick up the parking ticket, the little ticket, and it says you were observed at 9:42. And the ticket has been issued at 9:44. 2 minutes. 2 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. 2 minutes. The bloke who was, in one of these parking places he'd obviously seen me park and went, I'll have him. And he took a photograph of the car and it says 9:42 on it. And then he puts a ticket on the car and he takes a picture of the car with the no parking sign in it. At 9:44, and I thought, how am I supposed to go into the building to get a permit, which I could put on the car, or take the car off the road? How are you supposed to do that? So I didn't pay it, and then this was in 2014, ladies and gentlemen, and last year, like the middle of last year, 2019, they decided they were going to do something about it. because they'd been sending me, oh, yes, you've got to pay, and I was ignoring it. First of all, I said, look, I'm not paying because you've only given me 2 minutes. It's ridiculous. And then they said, oh, yeah, well, if you don't pay us, we'll get the bailiffs to come round. And so they did all this, and they kept sending me these letters from the same people, but blacker and blacker ink on their bits of paper. And I thought, no, I'm not paying. This is unfair. And then, of course, they're going, oh, well, it was 60 quid, but now it's 120 quid. Now it's 250 quid. Now it's 500 and something quid. Now it's 38 million pounds if you don't pay us. Then they stopped for about 5 years. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue comes this, we'd like you to pay the parking ticket, please. If you don't pay it, we'll send the boys round. I thought, what, from 2014 you're still chasing this up? 65 quid? You are joking. So I said, no, I'm not going to do it. Take me to court. And I figured if they take me, I'm going to call their bluff, because I don't think they will take me to court. So then they give you all this, oh, we're taking you to court, but if you like, you can pay. If you don't want to go to court, you can pay. I thought, no, take me to court. So eventually I get this court summons thing saying, well, this client wants to take you to court. You are the defendant. How do you plead? I said, I'm going to plead against this. Thanks very much. And they give you a space to put in your reasoning, and I explained exactly that. I had 2 minutes, and they've got proof. Luckily, I kept the pictures that they had sent me, which showed me that it had been observed at 9:42 and then issued at 9:44. Said, as you know, it is in my eyes unreasonable, because they love that word in the legal world, unreasonable. It is unreasonable that you cannot you can't leave your car for 2 minutes whilst you arranged for it to be parked. That is unreasonable. And I thought, no judge in the land. Now, I may be wrong. I may end up having to pay 300 or 400 quid in the end of this. But no judge in the land, surely, is going to say it is reasonable that they can put a ticket on you if you... I mean, everybody had to park their car to go into an office to say, I need a permit. You know, just to get the permit. You can't even do that in 2 minutes. It's ridiculous. But somebody else said to me, oh, these parking companies, they may even go right up to the hilt. So you've got the date. I get to choose the small claims court that it goes on. So they're down in Devon. And I said, well, I'm going to go to the one in Worthing, please. They said, fine. So it's in Worthing. And they said, the chances are the bloke won't turn up. And then that way it's case dismissed, nothing to pay. So that's what I think is going to happen. But if he turns up, I'm still going to stand up there in court and say, I think it's unreasonable that to park my car there to get the ticket, even if you were getting the permit, it would take you just as long. So it's a ridiculous thing. Trespassing parking tickets. What can we say, says Patrick Rose. Yes, he's probably suspended his patronage. I am a villain. I am a villain. Don't forget I'm coming on the BE walk on the 29th of Feb, says Andrew Norris. Hope the weather holds and that the walk is accessible from Wallington. Thinking about, well, I don't know where Wallington is, but we're thinking about somewhere near Horsham. Break a leg on the 3rd, go back on the 20th. Oh, break up, sorry, Andy Fierce. Oh, right, break on. End of March, that's when we'll go up to the thing. End of March. I think my case is on something like the 10th of March, so we'll be after that. I may be, maybe in prison, of course, I may not be able to go. Great, Salty. If necessary, you could travel together if you have transportation. Ricky Bryan says, if the debt has been sold, it's unlikely they will win over 2 minutes without access to premises. Let's hope not. That's just ridiculous. I'm sure we can all be there to back you up, Richard. Yes, I get everybody to say, I've got witnesses. You could all come along as witnesses and character references. They love all that. Well, actually, probably better not do a character reference. It's like, oh, Richard Vobes, yes, he goes around with cameras pointing and filming people. Yeah, he's very unreliable. He never bungs a video up on time. That would be. You live dangerously, says Patrick. I do live dangerously, actually. It sometimes, sometimes I even put my hand on the Essie when it's hot. Yeah, that's how dangerous I live. Wallington is near Emile. Oh, right. Wallington's near Emile. Could you tell me where Emile is? Where is Emile? Can you just give me somewhere that's actually known? Don't give me these made-up names, Wallington and Emile. Never heard of them. They're not in Sussex. No such place. Probably East Sussex. I've not been into East Sussex. I don't know what goes on in East Sussex. I think there's still an impenetrable forest in East Sussex. I wouldn't dream of going into it. That's why I stay in West Sussex. All very nice, helpful people. But East Sussex, they've got 2 heads, 3 legs. Yes. No wonder they've got names like where in Sussex. Somewhere in East Sussex, I dare say. Somewhere behind all the wiggly trees with all the weird roots and the strange creepy crawlies and the boar. I bet they've got boars still in. They probably still got stoats and weasels in East Sussex, no doubt. Kevin Hall says, Emily. Where's Emily? Oh, near Emily. Oh, I see. Near Wellington is near Emily. That's not even in Sussex, is it? What are you talking about? No wonder I don't know about it. It's up north. There we are, Emily Champion. You got me all riled there, for I was thinking, where's Emile? Where's Emile? Where's Emile? At Morrison's, they've got meals, apparently. Meals on wheels. Dear oh, near Emily. Oh, well, that's all right. So probably about, well, how long's that then? About 35 minutes, 40 minutes? Horsham-ish? That's where I'm thinking, Andrew, for the 29th. I think that would be quite nice. That would be... I haven't quite decided. Might be round Warnham Way. Maybe round Warnham Way. We could, I tell you what we could do. We could all walk around those 2,700 houses, walk the perimeter of the fence. They've got the fence up now just off the A264, where they're taking in about 20 farms. It's something like 4,000 hectares. Hectares? Pet takers. I don't, whatever the word is. Hectares? Hectares. There we are. Hector's house. Remember Hector's house? And Kiki? I remember it. Very good. We could just walk around the perimeter of that and look at the countryside before it's all been concreted over, which would be good. Andrew Noyce says, have you heard of Sutton? Sutton is to the right of Warlington. I've heard of Sutton. Yes, it's got a coal field there, hasn't it? They've been digging out coal for donkey's years. No, not that one. I know where Sutton is, yes. Wellington is in the southern part of Greater London. Come on, Vobes, says John Berger from overseas. I don't know where it is. I rarely leave my housemate. He's a nice bloke, but I rarely leave him. John Boger says, OK, fine, I use Google, don't judge me. I listened to a programme the other day saying that actually, that's a funny thing you should say about judging people. It's on BBC Radio 4, and they were saying actually it's a silly thing when people don't want to be judged. Everybody should want to be judged. You should want to be judged because we do it anyway. You can say, don't judge me, but people will judge you. You can't help it. You know when you look at somebody down the street, they're walking up towards you, and you look at them and they go, my goodness. For whatever reason, might be too thin, might be too fat, might be perfectly normal, might be unnormal, might have frizzy hair, might have straight hair, might have hair coming out of the nostrils, might just be nothing. Might be very sent, might be a policeman, whatever. You're judging. You can't help it. You can't. Everybody judges. You cannot. We don't all have wigs and gabbles. Gabbles? I gabble. Gavels, even. We don't all have that, but we do judge. So I don't know why I mentioned that, but I am mentioning it. Kevin Hall says, did you notice how Richard skirted past the longest Welsh name? What do you mean, skirted past it? I've said we're going to go there. We're going to make a 10-minute video. We're going to make a half-an-hour video trying to pronounce the name. What's the matter with you? You're too busy dreaming of that 36, 24, 36, whatever it was. That's the trouble with him. You see, you get to his age, you start hallucinating. You start getting weird sort of concoctions going in your brain. I bet he thinks he's been out for the day with me. I wouldn't be at all surprised. Mickey Stevens says, that's coalfield. That's what I said, coalfield. There's got a lot of coal in that field. A lot of it. Nice, black, shiny stuff that nobody bothers to clean it, do they? Robert Baxter says there's a load of Suttons. It literally means south of the town. Ah, there we go. So it could be south of anywhere. Is there a Sutton near Worthing? Is there one near Worthing? Because if it was south of Worthing, it would be in the actual sea. John Berger says, well, you're about to be judged. I am actually, that's very true. Not quite how I'd want to go about getting judged. No. You can imagine. Next case of so-and-so parking from Devon versus Richard Vobes. How do you plead? Not guilty, my lord. Not guilty? Well, how long did you park your car outside your client's property? 2 minutes, my lord, just purely 2 minutes. That's 120 seconds. Are you expecting the court to think that you, an able-bodied bald man with one eye and glasses and a camera in your hand, who's got copious amounts of videos on YouTube, could not climb up the steps, walk through a door, grab a permit, come back down and get your car within those 120 seconds. Are we here at this court supposed to believe that a man like you are unable to do that? And yet we've watched you make 10-minute videos of absolute complete nonsense and had to endure for long periods, over an hour, of live shows that you have provided where there's been no content whatsoever other than you gabbling with gavels and not gabbling with givels. I think that it is an absolute tragedy, but I must now put on the black cap, ladies and gentlemen, for you would be taken from this court and dragged on a hurdle to a place at the Tyburn Tree where you'll be hanged, Mr. Vobes. Hanged? And then you will be drawn. We have Andrew Norris, who apparently is a very good artist. He will be drawing you. And then you will be quartered. And elements of your podcast will be cast to all sorts of areas of the globe. Could say podcasting to the globe. You could say that. That's it. Take him away. Next. I can imagine it already. Do you know, I've almost just had a premonition of what it's going to be like. It's going to be a nightmare. Andrew Norris says, no, Sutton in Surrey, near Epsom. Oh, yes, near the place where you get salts. You know, Epsom salts. They've got them on the downs there, I believe. You see a lot of people there in strange jackets digging for those salts. They are also panning. They do a bit of salt panning. It's all very exciting. Sutton Seeds, says Kevin Hall. Sutton Seeds. Sutton Seeds success, apparently. Yes. Piff English is complicated, says Salty Train Spotter. Yes, piffed English is complicated. Don't forget the gibbet, says Ricky Bryan. Oh, yes. Once you have been hung and quartered, they're going to rejoin you again, cover you in tar, and hang you on a gibbet, in a chain cage for all to see, so that others will never park their cars. And you can imagine there I'll be, all covered in tar, and there'll be people coming on their horses going, clippity-clop, clippity-clop, clippity-clop. Mother? Yes, Wilhelmina? Mother? What is that hanging from that large post? Oh, a virtual gaze, Wilhelmina, a virtual gaze. You mustn't look. Why, it looks like a man. It isn't a man any more, Wilhelmina. It really isn't. Oh, but Mother, what is it? He seems to be covered in black sticky stuff. Yes, Wilhelmina, I'm afraid that is tar. Oh, why is he covered in tar? Well, Wilhelmina, I can't think of any other jokes for that, I'm afraid, so you'll have to go to bed now and have a nice drink of hot cocoa. Oh, a nice drink of hot cocoa. Do you know, I've got the Essie on in the other room. I might have a nice drink of hot cocoa. Oh, thank you, Wilhelmina. No, you're not Wilhelmina. Oh, thank you, Mother. That's quite all right, Wilhelmina. What are you doing to me? What are you doing to me, you mad people coming up there? Figments of my imagination, typing things. I was all right when I was in my straitjacket. OK, enough of Sutton, says Andrew Norris. Sutton, Sutton, we like to go to Sutton. Hasn't Sutton got rings round it? Has it? Oh, no, that's Saturn. Saturn. It's Saturn that's got rings round it. Yes, that's right. Jupiter's got the spot. That's right. He has got the ointment. Apparently it will clear up fairly soon. Mercury is as mad as a hatter. And as for Uranus, well, let's not go there, but there is some cream to get rid of the piles. Linda Kane says, hasn't said anything for a while. Maybe she's keeled over. I read Kevin Hall and I said Linda Kane. I'm not quite sure why that is. Rammy Boo says, do you know how the lovely orangey Martin is doing? Oh, not again. Miss his wonderful smile and his wealth of knowledge. They asked me yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yesterday everyone was asking me, how's Martin? How's Martin? Martin's all right, thanks very much. He's looking after his mother who's got dementia. She got out the other day. She got out of the house. He'd locked all the doors. She managed to get out and the police, in the middle of the night, oh, what is this? Came down the stairs. Hello, it's PC Perkins here. Oh, PC Perkins. Hello, PC Perkins. Yes, do you recognise this woman over here? Oh, I'm afraid I don't. Who is she? You don't recognise your own mother? Oh, is it Mother? Is it? Just a moment. Oh, Mother, yes, I do recognise her. I remember you. Weren't you there at my birth? I bloody well hope so, son. You caused such a mystery to me. A mystery? Yes, I don't know where you came from. I thought you'd come out of under the bedclothes. Who knows? Oh, it's Monty Python again. Yes, Martin Snow's all right. Thank you very much for asking. Where in Sussex says Crossrail, the Layham Spur confuses me. Yes, the Layham Spur confuses me. In fact, Tottenham Hotspurs confuse me, if the truth was known. Knights in white satin. Oh, Saturn. Yes, knights in white satin. They were the knights who were in the... what's the name of the spaceship that was was it Saturn 1? Saturn 1? That was it, wasn't it? Saturn, the Apollo missions. They had they had the little drone thing, whatever. Oh, who cares? I've lost the joke there. Oh goodness, thoughts are with Martin. That's tough job. Been doing that for 14 years, says Ed Loud. Blimey, 14 years? 14? I did it for a couple of years. That was enough. That it made me... Do you know, people say it can send you mad. They say it can send you mad. Luckily, I avoided all of that. We must be on the time. Yes, we're on the time. Thank goodness I can go back in my little box now, ladies and gentlemen. I can go back in... Oh, the moody old blues. Yes, well, when you've got a blue mood... When you've got a blue mood, you are moody, aren't you? Very moody. Oh, yeah, Apollo 1. Is that Apollo 1 went to Saturn, or was it Apollo 13? Yeah, it's all good stuff. I remember witnessing the men on the moon. Do you remember that? The first men on the moon, do you remember that? I think it was Lionel Jeffries. And who was the other bloke? The first men on the moon. Lionel Jeffries was... Cavor, wasn't he? He was Cavor, and the other bloke was he's not so famous anymore. Not so famous, but what was his name? Somebody. It's Ray. Was it Ray? Somebody. Ray. About who was it? The first men in the moon. Liam. Is it Liam? Oh, okay. Liam. Fair enough. Thanks for that. The first men in the moon. H.G. Wells. That was the film. Did you ever see the film? I'm talking about the film. No, Neil Armstrong wasn't the first man in the moon. What are you talking about? A load of old rubbish. Plenty of people have been to the moon before Neil Armstrong got there. Lionel Jeffries was one, for example. There was a number of people who'd been to the moon, but this is the one I'm thinking about. The first men in the moon. They had the sphere, didn't they? They had the first men in the moon filmed in Hollywood. No, it wasn't filmed in Hollywood. It was filmed in somewhere like Chertsey. Buzz Aldrin. No, you got it wrong there. Give our best. Who was that first? Come on, who was in the... I can't go and look this up myself. Well, I have to go and look it up now. God, blimey. It's a bit much when I have to do the work. I mean, I'm sitting here chatting to you. Hang on, I've got to find a spare. Let's get a spare. Here we go. Who's going to get there first, me or you? First men. Oh, hang on. I'm rubbish at typing. First men in the moon. H.G. Wells film. See if I can get there before you lot. Oh, it's very small. 1964. First men. Who was in it? Come on, give us the... Can't see. Was it a dog or a monkey? No, it wasn't a dog or a monkey. Hang on, I want the cast. Oh, I want the cast. Give us the cast. Come on. First men in the moon. Oh, yes, Edward Judd. That's it. Edward Judd. Martha Hire, never heard of her. Lionel Jeffries. Film was distributed by Columbia Pictures. Adaptation, science fiction scriptwriter Nigel Neal of H.G. Wells' novel First Men in the Moon. Ray Harryhausen. Oh, yes, that's it. Edward Judd. I've got there. I've done it already. I've already said that. Yeah. NASA filmed in Sutton. I'm not surprised. No, it was they filmed somewhere like Chertsey down by the river. In the Sphere, and then a bit probably at Pinewood. Lovely film. If you've never seen it, 1964. I was 1 year old when I watched that film. The First Men in the Moon. Ray Harryhausen. That's it. Ray Harryhausen, who did the stop motion effects, which include the Selenites, the giant caterpillar, the moon cows, and good old Cavor. Lionel Jeffries. Brilliant actor. Absolutely brilliant. I could sit here and do it all. Oh, I thought you meant the actual men on the moon, says... No, we're talking about the first men on the moon. The first men on the moon. Lionel Jeffries. Brian says, Julia called it. Did she call it? Julia, he is so slow. Yeah, but remember, you're 40 minutes behind me. I'm actually now having a cup of tea with my feet up, whistling to the tune of the Star Spangled Banner, probably. Who knows? Anyway, I must now draw this whole nonsense to a close. I hope you've enjoyed any of it, some of it, one part of it. If you enjoyed any of this show, by the way, please could you write it down on a piece of paper, fold it into a model aeroplane and throw it out of your bedroom window. It may just hit some person going by and they'll pick it up and say, I enjoyed the best bit when you were talking about parachutes. And they may go, what the hell is that about? D for Brick says, well done, awesome show tonight. Thank you very much. D for Brick says, I wasn't actually watching the show. Thanks. So 1 minute you say it's an awesome show. The next minute you say you weren't watching it. We'll never believe you ever again. Julia Hartley says, in the moon rather than on the moon. First men in the moon. All right then. That's super pedantic. Thank you very much. Glad you had the night off, actually, Julia, as it happens. Yes, all right. The first men in the moon. I am now going to slip my wrists and sit in the bath for half an hour. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to make myself a nice cup of tea with plenty of sugar. Great show, says Kevin All. Paul Silver says, good night all. Have a lovely... Andrew Noy says, great show. Nighty night, everyone. Thank you for coming and joining me. Thank you for joining me. We haven't heard from him, have we? Thank you for joining me. How is he, by the way? And this must have been a Robert Croser free zone tonight. So that's a relief. Anyway, in the meantime, take care. Have a nice evening, whatever you're doing, wherever you are. Thank you so much for coming and watching this old rubbish. It's been great fun. I think I've enjoyed about 30 seconds of it. Oh, well, that's good. And this is the 30 seconds that you're enjoying. Thanks, Linda. That's much appreciated. Until we meet again, take care. And Seeley Chase, lovely to see you. Great show. Keep it up. I will. I will always try and keep it up. But sometimes you have to take the pills these days. You know, you get to a certain age. Julia says, well, I beat you to the red bath. Oh no, Julia, please don't talk like that. Julia, everyone, we're looking forward to seeing the lovely Julia on Friday. She says she's going to come in and she's going to do a special different type of show with the ASM stuff. So that would be interesting. Anyway, must go. Things to do, people to see, phone calls to write, letters to eat, chairs to sit on, and mother-in-laws to do something with. So, until we meet again, take care one and all. Thanks for watching and goodbye! 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 And with that, Richard Vobes left the studio, got onto his little scooter and skedaddled into the dark blue yonder.